Molding Talk. Molding Talk.
All right, well, welcome to More Than Tough. Thanks for joining us. Today's guest is Freight Train from season 2 of Tough as Nails, and we're so grateful that he could take the time to be with us. Hi, Freight Train.
How you doing? Thank you for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was so neat to have you drive up in that delivery truck and help us with our package delivery challenge. You were just super encouraging and positive, and it was a really nice surprise to have you there.
It was an honor to be asked to come back and then to be able to meet all the cast before like everybody else could meet them. And it seems like I feel like I have a special connection with you guys because I was there and I kind of feel like I was part of your cast for one day at least. I was all gung ho for it.
Well, let's start with how did you find out about the show?
I kept seeing advertisement for it before the season on CBS, and I said, this looks like something I really want to watch. So I watched the first episode with my daughters and my wife, and afterwards they were like, this is something you need to be on. So they applied. You know how the whole process goes. The whole time I was getting emails, I just kept saying, there's no way they're going to choose me. You know, I'm just a UPS man.
We're all just a something, you know?
Right. Even before I was going out to California, I kept saying, no, I'm not going out to California, you know?
Since they applied for you, what was your motivation for competing?
Just to show that, being as older than I am, that I could still do it. Like, there's not many more chances where I'll be able to show that I can do stuff anymore at a competitive level. And I just wanted to be on there and show that I have some of the common knowledge. Like the first season was all, every time my wife and I watched every episode, they're like, I can do that. Like when they were in the junkyard for the first season and they're looking for the alternator, and I'm like, it's right there. There's a Ford Ranger right there. It's 2 bolts. So how you're sitting at home watching it, you're like, I know exactly how to do it.
I think a lot of the competitors had similar thoughts when they were watching a previous season, sitting there thinking, I can do that.
Right.
So I'm starting to hear a common thread among competitors. You've had 9 surgeries or so?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you feel like they held you back during the competition on Tough as Nails?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have 4 pins in my ankle and 4 pins in just below my knee. I had a fractured ankle that I got at UPS, and they went to fix it at one point and didn't fix it. So they went to fix it again and didn't fix it. And then they went to fix something else again. And then they messed up my knee trying to fix my ankle. And it just wound up had a pulmonary embolism that nearly died. So it was a long 2 years.
Yeah, well, after that, Tough as Nails should have been a piece of cake, right?
Right. I tell you, there's got to be a different, there's some purpose for me to be here still, because they say with a pulmonary embolism, only 5% survive it.
You're a walking, delivering miracle.
Right. And I'm back doing my job. That's it.
Let's talk about some of the individual competitions, and we could talk about whichever ones you want. You've had a couple doozies there.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit your favorite individual event and also your favorite team event.
Favorite individual definitely was the dozer, because I've never done that before, and it's in my wheelhouse. It's something with a motor. That was my favorite individual one. Team. Actually, I really liked the crab, even though the water part of falling in there, the crab pot, because it was something that I could really show my strength with being able to load the pots and to be able to. I tell people I was proud of that boat when it left the dock that day, because they didn't have to rearrange any pots or anything. They were perfectly stacked, and they were just as stacked as if they were going to do it themselves, because it was all like UPS loading a truck. The most embarrassing team one was the soccer field.
Freight train, hurry up! Not just once, like 50 times.
Exactly. And it was the same scene over and over again. That's what I tell people. I said, I wasn't going that slow the entire time. I said, they told us when we started, when they show you what your job was, you can't have any spills, you can't move it, you have anything off the lines or nothing. Then I look over at Sarah and she's sprinting. I'm like, what? How is it? How is she sprinting and lining the field? And then I picked it up, but it was the first couple minutes when everybody was yelling, and I'm like, I'm doing my job.
So that was your least favorite team.
Well, that yeah, that was probably no, it wasn't my least favorite. It was just my most embarrassing one because you know how much I heard about that when I got back to work. I had a customer was carrying a hand cart full of packages out to my truck one day, and all of a sudden he's like walking really. He's like taking 2 steps and stopping, 2 steps and stopping, and I'm walking behind him like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm freight train lining a field."
Oh my
I'm like, you
God.
got to be kidding me. So I had customers making fun of me for that.
Uh, sorry, that's so funny. Moving on to another individual challenge was the sheep corralling challenge.
Yes.
So you and Angel were the last two to get your 4 sheep in, and so putting you into overtime.
I'm always the one that I want to help everybody else. And that was kind of the downfall. And I told Angel, I said I was sorry because I wanted to help everybody. And then it came down to the last point where there was only 2 groups left. And no, so it was down to 2 different groups trying to help the last 2 people. And it just wound up that I was trying to help everybody else too much and not thinking about our team. So I kind of cost that one for Angel.
Yeah. So you went into overtime and you had to make horseshoes.
Right.
Had you ever worked with a forge before or an anvil or
No.
anything similar?
No, but I love the show Forged in Fire. And so I've always said I've always wanted to learn how to do that. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm finally getting to learn how to do that. But, I went in there the whole time thinking there was no way I was going to let Angel get eliminated on that one. And it was hard for me. I tried everything I could to let him finish that one because to hear his story and to hear when we won the first $2,000, to hear him say how long it takes for him to make that money, it just, I think I have a great wife. I have 2 good kids. I have a good living. It doesn't take me that long to make that much money. And to hear him hear him get emotional that winning that amount of money. And I said to myself, that's going to change his life. He needs this more than me. He's going to go far. He needs to go far because he needs this more than I do. So that's why it got so emotional because I actually stopped working because I didn't want to finish. And I didn't want to take him out. I knew if he would have been in there, if he would have stayed in the competition, I think he would have won it because that man has no quit in him and such a big heart.
But watching it now, I'm really seeing, everybody's personality and their stories. And yeah, I just fall in love with Angel. He's such a great kid and hard worker.
People ask me, is it real, the connection you have with your castmates? How could you get that close with your castmates? I said, you don't understand. We're all we got. The best thing you can do is become a family quick because you're all you got. You got to trust each other. You got to get past those things where you're thinking, I don't know if I can trust this person or not because I don't know them very well. You have to trust them because they're all you got.
You grow close fast. You care genuinely about one another, and you don't want to take that away from the people you care about. So let's talk about cool heads and heights and window washing if you want to get into that.
I actually got hurt in the very first episode. I tore the ligaments in my chest. So it wasn't until we ran up the steps and you had 4 minutes to collect yourself that when we were going down the thing, I felt something pop in my chest and it was the rib popping out of place. And it gave me such bad chest pain. It felt like a heart attack. but it was the rib pop out and the muscles around it spasming.
Or are you able to brush it off and say, I'm grateful for the experience and
I am grateful for the experience. My team tells me it doesn't, but I feel like I cost them the team challenge because they won the next one for me, but then the next one was back in the junkyard. That would have been my challenge to lead again, and we would have easily have won it because it's all stuff that I do all the time. I fix all my family's car. We're constantly going to junkyard getting parts, and we have older cars. We fix them. So I told him when I watched the episode, I text because we watched every episode together. The team would have an open chat, and I'm like, okay, we know I'm going to be leading here, so this is what I want. I said I was going to have Arida and Liz doing the doors, doing the bumpers. I said, and Angel and Zeus getting the doors. And I said, I can get everything else. I said, I can get the headlights, I can get the tires, I can get the battery. I said, I'll get all that little stuff. I said, you guys, when you take it off the car, you take it over there and put it on the car so that you know exactly what you did. And you're going to know exactly where everything came from. And they're like, yeah, we did none of that. So I kind of felt like I let them down because nobody else on my team knew anything about cars. And we even said it in the van. I told them, if we have anything with cars, I got us covered. And on their trip that day, they're like, I hope it's not something to do with cars. So that's my only regret. I wish I was there because I feel that I let them down on that one.
I don't think they feel that way. So you could probably
No, they don't feel that way. It's me because I know that was my challenge for me to lead. And then they also say that I was that influence that calmed everybody down. Like when everybody started getting frazzled, I was the one that always like, guys, slow and steady, just calm down. And they were missing that when I left.
yeah. Well, isn't that neat that everybody on the team had their job or their influence? I mean, Angel had incredible energy and of course you were calming effect, and Iraida, she had energy, but she also was very handy. And I mean, everybody had
their spot and their roles that like we did best when we actually didn't even talk about the challenges. Everybody just fell into a job and we didn't even talk because everyone got into a job and did their job.
You all knew your places and where you fit into that team. That's really neat that you could do that even without talking.
We would just and when everyone would start talking, that's when the the bickering would be.
Do you have any advice for people that want to get into package delivery or any aspect of that, maybe warehouse work?
I actually went to school for construction, and I was doing that before I went to UPS, and then I needed insurance. So I went to UPS part-time for insurance while I was still doing construction. And then it was like, okay, well, we could use you for a few more hours here. So then I wound up doing 2 shifts at UPS. I'm only doing a half shift doing construction. And then it got to the point where I was working 13, 14 hours a day. And they're like, okay, we can use you for 2 different shifts at UPS now, because a lot of our shifts are part-time until you're full-time, you're loading trucks. And there's not many places where you get full benefits just the day you start. I mean, and I think it's 6 months now, but you don't pay anything for the benefits. So to have your family covered and not have to pay for benefits, that's pretty huge this day. I mean, I know people that half their paychecks are going to pay for their benefits.
So you didn't start out as a driver?
No, I started out as a loader, where you load the tractor trailers and send them out. And then at 6 months, one of the driving supervisors got to know me, and he asked me if I wanted to work on Saturdays. So for a while, I was just driving on Saturdays, delivering all the next day airs to all the businesses that were open on Saturday and all the medical stuff on Saturday. And then that guy liked me, and he asked me if I can come in the mornings and deliver all the priority stuff in the morning. So then I was doing all the priority stuff in the morning and then loading the trucks in the afternoon. So I was doing 2 shifts for I'm still considered part-time, even though you did 2 shifts. And I did that for 7 years. And I waited until it got to the point where they told me I was going to be full-time driver. We make a good living as a package car driver. People don't think that, but it's been able to get my daughters through school. We have a weekend camper that we go to every weekend. So it's between that and the medical, you can't beat it. I mean, and you get to meet such amazing people. I was on a route for 8 years. I got to meet the customers, and I would see when they're pregnant for the kids all the way up till they're starting school. I have two kids on my route now that watch the show, and every day they sit in their window waiting for me to come by, and I wave to them every day because they're stuck at home. One has a immune deficiency, so he can't go to school. So every day they're in the window, and I just drive by and I'll slow down and beep at them every single day because they're in the window. So it's neat to get to know, you get to meet a bunch of different people, and some of my best friends now were customers. So I mean, you get to meet a diverse amount of people. I tell people, you get to see a lot of different things that you deliver. Some you want to know about, some you don't want to know about. Some things you pick up, you don't want to know what you're picking up. But it is a job that be able to take care of your family with. And like I said, to have health insurance in this day and age that you don't pay for, and it's pretty good health insurance, is pretty rare. So for the company to do that and to have a pension, when I leave, I'm going to have a good pension. Like we were saying a lot too, is the schools are pushing college, which I do feel college is important, but you can make just as much money in the trades, going right into a trade. And that's what, that's what our season was trying to push, that, the world needs the people to fix things or deliver things. And during a pandemic, you really got to see, like there are days where I was on the road when the pandemic started where I was the only vehicle on the road, and you're delivering people's, their food. So, I mean, it was neat then to see how people appreciated us then, how when we were delivering their wine, they were really happy.
So do you think there's certain personalities or types of people that fit in good as a delivery driver or package handler?
Well, it's definitely, you have to be able to manage your own time. Like you don't have a boss, because once you get in the truck and you're on the road, you're on your own. So you got to be able to keep yourself motivated to keep going. You just got to be able to keep on pace. You got to be able to, in the beginning when I started, we didn't have GPS or anything like that. So you actually had to know the area. It's gotten a little easier now. So I say to these kids now, I'm like, you have it easy for when I started. But it takes you have to have a personality too, because you have to deal with a lot of people on a daily basis, and some of them aren't happy with you sometimes. So you have to have people skills.
Sure. And you've been doing it 19 years?
No, I've been full-time for 22 years. And so I've been there a total of 29 years, 7 years part-time.
Okay. And you're getting close to something called the Circle of Honor?
Yeah, it's an honor where you have 25 years safe driving without an accident. That's like the last goal that you could really achieve. There is a Circle of Honor, and we've got 8 drivers since 1972 in my center that have reached it. Because you figure 25 years without an accident is a long time. So it's a hard goal to try to achieve, and that's like the last thing that you can achieve in your career. Except I actually received a award from the CEO of the company. And nobody in my building has ever received it. It's called the Service Medal of Honor, and it was she just wrote me a letter saying how well I represented the company, and that my service and dedication to my customers. Like all my business customers have my cell phone number. So if they ever need anything, they call me. If they have a package they're looking for, they'll call me.
That's pretty serious customer service.
I say that I have probably the best customer service in my building, but somebody else might say they do too. But I was told when I first started that you should treat your route like it's your own business. So the only way it's going to be successful, your own business, is if you treat customers right. And I try to teach the young guys that the only thing we provide is the service. So if you don't show service, what are we really providing?
That's a great perspective. Now for the big question.
Uh-oh.
Season 4's coming up.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on any kind of challenges that you think we might see in season 4?
They keep coming up with some good ones, but I was talking to my wife about it. I said, if you actually follow Dirty Jobs, you ever see that show?
Yes.
They can get some good challenges for them, because sometimes he has some like, we were just watching one where they were laying steel on a bridge. That would be a good one. They're laying the rebar on the bridge. That would be a good team challenge.
Is it a concrete pour?
The rebar in before the concrete pour. So it was all, they were doing, I think it was like 30-foot long pieces of rebar. And it took like 3 guys to carry them and put them in and then tie them. And they haven't had anything like that on a bridge. I could see them trying to go high and do a bridge worker one. I was really happy to see on your season the racing one, because people don't think of that as an occupation and how tough that is with the big pit crew.
Who would you like to see come back as a guest host in season 4?
Let's see. Hanger was pretty cool. He was just, I only got to meet him for a few minutes, but he was a genuine guy that I would like to see him come back. I think he would be pretty lively if he came back.
Definitely.
I still talk to, it's funny, I talk to your cast a lot. Kelsey is a trip.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool having her fly in her helicopter?
Yep.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yes.
Do you have any words you'd like to no, that's not how I want to say it. Do you have any advice for, pardon me?
Words of wisdom, because I don't have many of them.
Yeah. Well, we'll just call it advice. Do you have any advice for folks that would like to try out for Toughest Dales, or just advice in general for people up against it, or just trying to find their way?
Tell people the one thing that people keep trying to tell me about this show is that it's a strongman competition. It's not a strongman competition. People don't want to sign up for it because they think they got to be a strongman. I said that's not what the show is about. The show is about to highlight the working man. And I said if I can make it on, anybody can make it on. But it's about trying to show everybody what everybody does on a daily basis. It's trying to show what the working class does. And don't be afraid to be on it, because there are some tough things, because it's about putting yourself to the test and trying to see if you can do it. And that's what I like about it. Is I love the fact that I can go on there and have some everyday knowledge of some of the things and see if I can do it and see if I can still do it.
I think that's some good advice. Thanks for sharing that with us. Freight Train, thanks so much for being on the More Than Tough podcast. Really enjoyed hearing your stories and sharing some time with you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and it was good seeing you again. And I hope we can get together and I can come out and see that farm of yours and meet all the animals and meet your husband, and you can meet my wife, and we can get together and have a dinner or something.
You're always welcome, and hope to get to see you soon.
Mo